as leaders, one of the best things we can do is be adaptive here. This is a situation where it's more important to be able to revise your plans based on new information than it is to be rigid or to stick to your ideas. Take in new information. All right, so let's actually talk here. Let's talk about the topic. For God's sake, I'm going to hide chat for a minute just so I can talk about the topic, because it's going to drive me crazy otherwise. So I'll put chat back up in a minute, but I'm hiding from it right now so that I can concentrate and get back on my game. So look, here's what I want to say. We're all in tough times. And whether by that you mean economic times or you mean social times, you mean obviously work, danger, health times. The thing I want to say, and I want to talk on behalf of, there's a lot of leaders in chat, but I know most of you are not managers and you may not think of yourself as leaders. The thing I want to say here I've discovered, okay, is, and this is kind of my rant, although I have other rants today. There is no playbook for this. I don't know if you've thought about it, but like there's no reference. I was reflecting on my 25-year leadership career. I've not done anything like this. And nobody else has either. Okay, you can probably think of some exception, like the guy at the CDC or wherever who fought the Ebola outbreak, or people who handled SARS. But that was also small scale. Like even the people who are like, no, man, we handled SARS in our country. They're better prepared, but they're better prepared for a disease. They're not prepared for tens of thousands of cases, for financial market pandemonium, for confining hundreds of millions of people to their homes. The closest analogy for this is maybe World War II. And all the leaders from World War II are either extremely old or dead. And that's unfortunate because we could use an experienced leader who lived through the world being in flames right now. I would take a Dwight D. Eisenhower in a heartbeat over kind of anybody in leadership in any country, broadly speaking. But the point I want to make for all of you, for all of us, is everyone, the managers, the employees, the governments, the families, we're learning as we go. We're learning as we deal with this. And so what I want to say is this is going to be a learning experience, but cut your leaders some slack, and leaders, cut your employees some slack. And you're right, Dome Kang. Bill Gates did say we weren't ready. And we might be more ready for a pandemic, but the fact is we didn't. This is another one of my favorite quotes I've used on this stream. I quote Donald Rumsfeld from the first Gulf War when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. And what he said was you fight. Somebody asked him, well, wouldn't it be better if going into Kuwait we had, whatever, more of this kind of sandproof gear or more of that kind of gear? And he said, well, sure. But unfortunately, you have to fight the war with the army you have. And I've always loved that quote. See, you have to fight the war. Every time I cough on stream, it brings everyone out. And that's just the whiskey. It cures everything. But the point is, you have to fight the war with the army you have. Well, we all have to manage. Yes, Bill Gates did say we weren't ready for a pandemic. And President Trump disbanded one of the teams that was supposed to be preparing us for a pandemic. The fact is, though, that none of that matters now. We all have to deal with things. Yeah, exactly. Dome Gang says, gotta play our hand. And that's exactly right. I was giving someone an analogy yesterday, I think on Facebook, because I was sucked into a Facebook argument, which shows I'm having a bad weekend. Oh, yeah, and my views are mine. Thank you, T Weirdo, for popping that up. They're not Amazon. They're not Twitch. I skipped over that, but that's important because I'm going to go over Jeff's letter to employees. And because it's public, I can talk about it in a minute. Yeah, imagine getting sucked into a Facebook argument. Just go figure. In any case, the point here is we got to now play our hand. And I was telling someone, this is like being dealt a 2, 3, 6, 7, 10 in poker, all of different suits. What do you do with that? Like 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, you want to fold, but that's not allowed. Your ante's in, you have to play the hand. And so, yeah, fold. Well, that's the problem, right? So you've got these, the leaders have these choices, which is, hey, would you like more economic disruption? More death? Or more cost? And there's no like right answer. There's no winning hand. You quit your job, not going down with the ship. I don't know what we do exactly. But what we do have to do is, as leaders, here's what we can do. What are the basics of leadership? So the basics of leadership, I often talk on this stream about the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And in that book, they have a quote which says, relax, look around, make a call. So when you're overwhelmed with information and no choice is 100% certain, because in a war zone, no choice is 100% certain to end up with survival or success, at least not for the one guy or the team. They say, relax, look around, make a call, do something. So that's what all your leaders are doing. So as a leader or as a team member, as anyone, and all of us are leaders in some level. We lead our families, we influence our friends, we influence people at work, we do a job. You're all a leader in this context in some way. What you can do is, cheating would be a miracle vaccine out of nowhere. I would love to find a way to cheat, right? Kobayashi Maru, if any of you know that old reference from Star Wars. Awesome Dave and I love Star Wars, and we don't believe in Kobayashi Maru. There is, can someone pause and lower the difficulty? That is so true. But we don't believe in Kobayashi Maru. There's a way out. And it's in the bottom of this glass. I got to thank Sean123. This is some awesome shit. So this stream will no doubt get more fun as we go. He warned me it has a kick. And there is a little bit missing from the bottle now. Probably about 3 shots worth. So the key is here, I think, for all of us, to understand what we can do. And what we can do is gather the best information we can get, talk to our team members, make the best decision we can in time for it to matter. And I'm going to talk about that for a minute. And then communicate it well. You can also then measure the output and adjust. But the basics of leadership are take information in, analyze it, make the best call you can with the collaboration with as many experts as you can, and then act. So all of us are trying to do that. You know, the governments are trying to do that. The doctors are trying to do that. But in your situation, you have to do the same thing. And I see, by the way, the questions have been popped up. The question widget info has been popped up. We will take questions at the end of this on how to handle tough times, how to lead in tough times. So we will talk about that. If you have stuff you want me to answer on that topic, you all know the drill. Go to the extension, put them in, vote on them. But look, I think for tonight, the main message is understand this is unprecedented. And yeah, lots of states are going on lockdown. I would say, and if I were to get fired up and rant, okay, I do have a couple rants here. And those rants are about people not practicing social distancing. Look, you can agree or disagree with locking down the workplace, because I saw a comment that went by and it had a point that said, look, if I don't have a job, I can't worry about a virus. Well, got it. The interesting thing is the other side of that too. If you don't have a life, not having a job won't matter. And because this is a shit hand of cards, we have to play the hand we have, and there is not an obvious win. Someone said, by the way, if you have 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, your option is fold. Well, your other option in poker with 2, 3, 6, 7, 10 is bluff like a mofo. And I'm sometimes wondering if that's the choice we have left, which is grit our teeth, keep calm and carry on, and bluff. So the thing I would rant about, though, is it's just really dumb to act like the disease doesn't matter. So something came up that I heard about that really bugs me. And before you all make the boomer jokes, okay, I'm not a boomer. I'd have to be about 10 years older to be a boomer. But someone started the hashtag boomer remover because this mostly kills older people. Now, it's hospitalizing a lot of people 20 to 50, and some of them critically, and some of them are dying. But being so callous as to be like, yeah, it's just going to eradicate a bunch of old people, to hell with them, that's unreasonable. And if you know me, one of my harshest condemnations of any person is that person is unreasonable. Because as long as I can reason with someone, I can deal with them. But it is unreasonable to just be like, screw you, you get to die. Now, we do have a trade-off, okay? How do we keep our economies running? We need, well, Omni, I'm with you. But people have thought this is funny, and what they're doing is they're holding what's the other hashtag that's been out there is Corona Party. Like, we're all young, and so we're going to be healthy and we're going to be fine. So we're going to get together and hold a Corona Party. And yeah, it's probably, some of it's just a meme for Oki. I agree. They're just joking. We're going to get together and hold a Corona Party. And the hell with who, if we get it, we'll get well in a few days. It's just going to be like a flu for us. It mostly is a boomer remover. And that's just wrong. And so look, if you're young and you're not going to die from this, good. You're lucky. Thank you. I'm happy for you. I don't want anybody, right? I have a 17-year-old kid. I have stepkids, 18, 14. My daughter who made the music's 8. They'll probably all be fine, but I don't want anybody to get sick. But I also have older relatives. My wife has she has grandparents, the kids' great-grandparents, who are both 94. If they get this, it doesn't end well. It ends. Doesn't end well. So that's my rant, which is, I know a lot of the audience here is younger than me. Don't kill other people. Stay away. I do think, by the way, how scary would it be if it affected children most? We're very lucky it doesn't, right? And so, yeah, yes, also don't kill other people in general. So I will admit, I did once think that self-defense is a defense in court. And I have joked that another defense in court should be he needed killing. Just because some people, it seems like, really do outlandish things. But that's a joke and not true here. Despite the fact I talk about having lime and a shovel in my trunk sometimes. I don't. Lime's very messy. And lime's available at any feed store. You don't need to keep it in your trunk. You just swing by. Um, so look, folks, getting to the point though, we're all in this together, and what leaders can actually do about it is try and help people get through it. Because I do think, having talked to Liger, and I think Liger was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here. Having talked to Liger, and we have Dr. Racaniello coming back on Tuesday, and I'm going to ask him this question. I don't think we can keep social distancing in place as long as this is going to run, which means at some point, hopefully in summer, if the virus actually decreases in summer like a flu, we're going to have to turn the economy back on, and we're going to have to go back out in the world. But at the same time, Omni, that's an excellent quote. I got to see what Omni had to say here. Former Vice President Hubert Humphrey. The moral test of government is how that government treats those who are in the dawn of life, the children, those who are in the twilight of life, the elderly, and those who are in the shadows of life, the sick, the needy, and the handicapped. That is good, Omni. That was a good quote. So I'm glad someone called it out. Domcan called it out. So let me switch and play with our new view of, I'm going to blow this up a little bit. We're going to look at the COVID stats for a minute, and we'll go back to leadership with Jeff Bezos' letter. So be patient. I'm going to go through Jeff's letter, not as an Amazon representative, but just what he sent out because it's public, as an example of leadership. Okay? And I won't give strong opinions on it because I don't want to be quoted for having given opinions about Jeff's letter. But if you haven't seen it, I think it's an example of a leader. It's clearly that. Anyway, though, let's quickly look. This is today's situation report. These are available every day from the WHO. Here's the link if you want to go look at it yourself. This is the situation report for global COVID blah, blah, blah infections. So China has a few. They're claiming they're all coming over the borders. Korea has a few. Now look at this. Korea's kept their total death toll to 100 out of almost 10,000. They're a little bit over 1%. Now you contrast that. It's on the same screen here. Italy is running 4,800 out of 53,000, which is like 8%. Yep, Singapore handled it well. We have Liger there. That gives us on-the-ground reports from Singapore. So look at the difference, though. Italy's lost control of it, and people are dying at 800 a day. And yeah, there's a lot of... The EU is in trouble. And so for my viewers who are in the EU, I am sorry. Sean123 says, Italy, the average age of death is 78.5. That is true. And these numbers are behind. They have a lag. They're delayed reporting a little bit, but they're the only source. They're the best visual source. And of course, we're not testing in so many places. We're not testing, and that's a U.S. problem, by the way. I can talk a little bit about testing. Yeah, the real Jessica, it is sad. I think you are screwed in the UK because Boris took his sweet time to do anything. And Awesome Dave, thank you for the ongoing sub. Coming up on a year. That is true. We've actually been live a year. But yeah, we went live just about a year ago. And yeah, Bojo the Clown. Well, look, there's a dearth of excellent leadership in most of the world. For those of you in the U.S., my family, not I live in Seattle, but my extended family lives in Ohio. I actually think Governor Mike DeWine in Ohio is doing the best of any Ohio state. He's moving quickly. He's not afraid to do hard things, and I think that's remarkable. But we need leaders better than that. So, yeah, and he is locking it down. I agree, but I think that's probably a good call because Ohio didn't have very many cases. And so, but we could go find the CDC state by state. But yeah, Kristen is there. I guess Kaval is there. I know you guys are getting locked down hard, but I think you'll come out better. We are, though, as leaders, and this is tough, we're going to have to figure out how to turn the economy back on before this is solved. Because there's now enough cases, we're not going to stamp them out completely. We might get a break in summer, but we're going to have to figure out how to let people go back to some kind of life. Now, Liger gave me some help on this. I got some education today I will share, and we will ask Dr. R about. Yeah, those numbers are insane. Well, let's keep scrolling. I'll ask Dr. R about this. But the epidemic should slow down, and here's why. For better or for worse, the people who are going to get it first in general are the super spreaders. They are the people who are in public. They are the people that are flight attendants, barkeepers, front desk attendants, the people who get all the exposures, doctors also, and who have all the contact. Well, interestingly, unfortunately, they will either live or die. They will get sick and get well or not, and they will give it to everyone in their networks. And that's what we're seeing in these horrible numbers. But once all the flight attendants have had it, getting on a plane, the flight attendants won't give it to you. Once all, now all is a huge number, but once all the businessmen have had it, all the business travelers, actually getting on a plane and sitting between the surviving business travelers who've all had it, even if I have COVID-19 and I'm hacking all over them, as long as it's not reinfectious, they'll be fine because they've had it. And so we talk about herd immunity, and for those of you who don't know, herd immunity is when everybody's had it, it can't spread anymore. But what Liger pointed out to me, and I don't know if he's still here, he may have had to go back to work or to bed, is, hey, this interesting chat comment being held up. It just got approved about Holland and the politicians being shit. So I was reading that. I got distracted. Yeah, well, there's this whole thing about balancing the economy. But going back to, and I'll talk about that more. What Liger told me, though, is, look, everybody's probably heard of this thing, R0 or R0, which is how infectious a disease is. And the average person who has this disease infects 2 to 3 more. But averages are deceptive. There's some sort of bell curve or nonlinear curve where most people infect nobody or one person. And then these super spreaders, like the sick person on an airplane, ends up affecting 100. Liger talked about one sick person going to a banquet and infecting like 27 others at that banquet in Singapore. Well, if we get rid of those super spreaders, the people who have that, whether it's genetic, whether it's disposition, bad behavior, they love to cough on their hands, then rub them on people. I don't know how they do it. But once they've all had it, you won't have as much chance for the super spreading. And so that should slow things down. And his example of this is, remember swine flu. Well, swine flu is still out there. And now over all the years, it's infected like 500 million people. But it's not as fast anymore because the people who are most susceptible to it, a lot of them have had it. So we're going to ask Dr. R that. And I will say, in case I don't get back to it, I've got a job for T Weirdo and 40 Pink Dragons. So I'm announcing it now so they have a chance to get ready. And of course, Duke, you can't eliminate all super spreaders. But we need to prep for the show Tuesday at noon. What do we want to ask Dr. Racaniello, Vincent, the virology professor from Columbia University, who will be back on the show? What do we want to ask him? And so, T Weirdo, what I would like you guys to do is anything I miss in chat, because I'm not typing up here, write down the coolest questions that people want to ask Dr. R. Because he's going to be back on for 2 hours, and I want to have a good show. I'll have Devin co-hosting with me. But we need to know what to ask him. My main question is going to be, what the hell do we do? But specifically, okay, now we have an epidemic running wild. How does that end? Tell me more about epidemiology and where it goes. What are the things that are still in our control? Because the show is Tuesday, 12 noon Pacific Daylight Time. Tuesday, 12 noon Pacific. If you like Eastern U.S. time or New York time, it will be 3 p.m. Eastern time Tuesday. So 42 hours from now. Well, it's been an hour. I've been online a while. 41 hours from now. So there's conflicting info on people getting this again. The immunity topic isn't fully defined. I should ask him about that. Don't unite. Yeah, East Coast Kings celebrate with 6 feet of social distance. Lolva, or Lolva. Yeah, good question. Has his opinion and perspective changed? I'm going to pull up chat my other window so I'm looking at the camera. Yeah, hit me with your questions that you want him to answer. And then I'll go back. I'll do Jeff's letter next. I'll also scroll this window real quick so that we are looking, because I really want to know, what is it you guys, you're my fans. You're the ones who show up every week. You have the right, you have the reasonable right to influence what we talk about. And I'm probably not going to take questions live. And so I really want to know what you want me to ask him. So it turns out, and this is another joke in these stats, we'll come back to Iran in a second. I'm going to go down to the U.S. This is really sad. Hey, great news. This column here, the 0, says we had 0 new cases today. Why is that? It's because the CDC doesn't work on the weekend anymore. It doesn't have the funding. And so this one over here says it's been 1 day since we last reported. So the CDC, this is who we're going to ask. We have a Columbia professor of virology or immunology. He's basically bills himself as Earth's virus expert, Earth's virus professor. And we had him on our show 2 weeks ago. So the question is, what do we want to ask Dr. R Tuesday about this pandemic? Because when we talked to him 2 weeks ago, yeah, the CDC doesn't report to the WHO on the weekends. Unbelievable. I'm sure they're actually all working, but they don't report. So the U.S., we're blind here in this report on their stats. Keep putting your questions up, though. It's great. I love it, Omni. Teaching people to play D&D. We need ways to connect, that's for sure. So I love that you guys are putting questions in there that we want to talk to him about. Okay. The last thing I'll say about the stats is the other country that's got big problems is Iran. And yet, why? Now, it could be testing. You could argue it's testing. But number of deaths don't lie. Why? Most people, unfairly probably, would say Iran is not as equipped to deal with things as Italy, Spain, etc. should be. Why is Iran seeing slower growth and fewer deaths? Now, it could be a testing thing, but the number of deaths don't lie. So why is Spain caught up and is moving at a higher rate? And then we have a lot of countries in Southeast Asia that are handling it pretty well. And yet, unfortunately, if you look at the curve in Italy and the curve in Spain, we look just like them. Now, do we have anybody in chat because of the sanctions? I don't know that you can sanction a virus. It could be warmth, I guess. Could be a culture thing. Italy is sad. Do we have any Germans on? Do we have any people from Deutschland with us? Because if these stats are true, you're winning, right? Like 21,000 cases, only 67 deaths. Now maybe there's some lag and your case numbers are skyrocketing. Yeah, I get it. It says death cases not tested or not counted. Islamic countries are very hygienic. Could be. Culture matters, health issues. Germany is testing and testing and testing, which is what you should be doing, I think. I wish we were doing that. And I will tell you this. I have friends who work in emergency medicine here. I won't go into who, but I have direct family members, extended family, that work in emergency medicine. They know they've been exposed because they've worked with patients who have then tested positive. They can't get tested because there aren't enough tests. So that's how blind we are. And that's just bad. Can you ask Dr. R, could you say what his name is? Rackaniello, Dr. Vincent Rackaniello, about news regarding high blood pressure, diabetes, etc., being common about people who have been affected. So, Santidotes, I believe that is true. So everything I have read says that is true. Sean123, that's great. I bet there is a Seattle high school kid who does better than the WHO. It's because Iran and many other countries with sanctions could not get hold of the equipment. Oh, that's horrible. I don't doubt you, but that's horrible. All right. I'm going to bring chat back up over here. Why are they blowing bleach into the air in Italy and China, washing it on the streets? Are they hiding the fact that it's the air and you can't get it walking by outside? Yeah, look, some of the cleaning things, I think it's just people feel a need to do something. This is cool. I've now gotten it to where I can play switcheroo with the glasses and you don't know which one is straight whiskey and which one's the mule. Luckily, I know. So I'm just going to mix them together. And now it's going to be one drink because this one's empty. And thanks again to Sean123 for the drink. All right. So let's go back to leadership. Look, what leaders can do, I said it before, but a lot of people have joined. Tonight's topic is handling hard times. A quick review. Nobody has a playbook for the leadership here. Nobody has a playbook for how to handle. I'll go back over here real quick. No one has a playbook for how we should handle a pandemic. And when I say nobody, I mean there's nobody living from 1918 still in leadership. And the world is so different. Technology, interwoven economy, travel by air, it's everywhere at once. The 1918 flu moved slowly across the world. And I don't know, stuff happened back then, but it's 100 years ago. Okay, nobody in leadership is living. So what's left is us to figure it out all over again. And my point was, there's no book. Normally when you have a leadership problem, you can go to someone like me or someone smarter than me, or you can read a book, or you can go to a mentor, or you can ask others. But there is no direct leadership book about how to handle a pandemic, particularly with modern technology. Because I see Kaval says her grandma or his grandma, I don't know, male, female, not my problem, told him about it, which is awesome. There's some limited tribal knowledge. But that leaves us with basic leadership, which is gather the best information you can, talk to the best experts you can, and then take action as best you can, communicate it well. So as what we can do right now, female, thank you. What we can all do now to try and handle the bad times is talk, make the best decisions we can, and be open to the fact that new information is coming in all the time. I posted on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn today, and said, look, I got shocked by this. I got surprised. I got caught off balance because I didn't expect it to get this bad this fast. And I didn't understand what sending my whole workforce to work from home would look like, and trying to work from home myself. My kids are here. My wife is struggling because she's used to having the kids in school and me at work, and now we're all in the house, all up in her shit all day. And that's not an easy adjustment, and that's all over. So we all have to adjust to that. And what I can say is, my boss has a saying at work: keep your knees bent. Like in sports, you can go any direction. As leaders, one of the best things we can do is be adaptive here. This is a situation where it's more important to be able to revise your plans based on new information than it is to be rigid or to stick to your ideas. Take in new information. The GameStop situation. I love that. If you haven't heard, chat just brought up, GameStop was trying to portray themselves as an essential business. Is Hobby Lobby? I don't know what the Hobby Lobby thing is. So anyway, GameStop didn't want to close. So, and they wanted to call themselves an essential business. All right, I just got a verbal thing that Hobby Lobby, supposedly the owner saw a vision from God and they stayed open. I don't know. You think it will blow over by the end of April. Okay, Quentin, well, you and President Trump are in alignment, but nobody else. So, all right, you guys wanted bad leadership examples. Yeah, it's being out of touch. So let me bring up Jeff's letter and let's walk through it. Now, my crew just put up, is it okay for me to be angry at my boss for not taking action in time, taking this serious when other feels like sports? I don't know what you do, Fang, but generally I think leaders who took no action at all, I fault them. Can you share ways you've seen adapting help? Yes, I can, Kristen, and then we'll go to Jeff's letter. Here's one way it helps. Changing circumstances. So at first the idea was, it was okay to go to work. Then we needed to close work. So fine, close work. But like something I did with my team on Friday, as an adaptation, and I took inspiration from Twitch, who did this, is we restricted the hours a day we're having meetings. Why do we do that? We said, look, we're only going to have team meetings from 9 to 12. They can only be between 9 and 12 and 2 and 5. Why did we do that? Well, some people like no meeting days, and that's a fine thing to do, but why did we do it? We made an adaptation because we heard people were struggling with the need to take care of their kids at home because their kids are normally either at school or daycare, or the parents are at the office and the kids are somewhere else. But now they need to feed the kids, and the kids get bored, and the kids need attention. So we cleared the block between 12 and 2 to allow parents to, no stress, get away from their computers, get away from their webcams where they're on web meetings all day, and adapt to a new circumstance, which is, oh my God, my kids are home and I'm supposed to work. So that's a case, that's a point example of taking in information from our teams. Holy shit, this is hard with my kids. And figuring out how can we adapt and give them a new chance a different way. Is it perfect? No. But it's an example of seeing what's happening that wasn't happening. Because when we first were all sent home from work, the kids were still in school. So we all went home from work. We figured out how to work from home. Then suddenly all the schools closed and all the kids were home. And so we've had to adapt to that. And my point is there will be more adaptations. And another thing we're really struggling with, another problem is how to onboard people. Amazon is still hiring. In fact, the letter for Jeff that I will go over in a minute, Jeff's letter talks about how we're still hiring. And we've had a bunch of new people join our team. How do we onboard them? We can't go meet them. Some of them can't move here. We can't have lunch. We can't get them computers. We can't get them badges. We're having to adapt to all of that. Yeah, Kristen is exactly right. I am still hiring and trying to figure out what to do. By the way, for all of you here, and there's a huge number of you, thank you all for being here. Do follow the channel if you haven't. I want to give good news. In the last 72 hours, I have had 3 different stream regulars come to me and tell me in private they have gotten new jobs. They've gotten new jobs during the start of the pandemic. Now, their interview process was before that, but they've gotten their offers. And I want to say that here's why. I know some of you are out of work, and I fear some of you will lose your work. And I don't want that, but I want you to know it's possible. And these 3 people would normally come celebrate either in our Discord, in our Career Success channel, or they would come celebrate here in chat and I would shout them out. I am not doing that because each of them is concerned at being like, yeah, I got a new job, right when somebody else may be losing a job or may not be able to work because their restaurant is closed or because they work at a hotel and it's closed or an airline. But what I want to call out is 3 different people told me they gotten jobs, and they span the range of demographics. One of them is a new college grad. One of them is a woman. One of them has a lot of career experience. One of them is in the middle. But I want to say it is possible. And even in the worst times, some companies are hiring. All the companies that are in like the shipping, delivery, medical fields, they're hiring like crazy. There are always winners, even in a losing economy. There are always some winners. There will always be some kind of demand. And so it is possible. And if you need help with that, I did a little bit of a show about how to prepare for a recession. If we get into a real recession, because I hear the unemployment numbers are going to be staggering, we'll talk about how to job hunt in a recession. But before we do that, let me switch over and go through Jeff's letter, which is public. So let's see if I have this display good. So if you haven't read it, I just picked it up off GeekWire because I wanted to pick a public source so it was clear I was not talking about anything internal. So this is one place you can find what Jeff sent employees Saturday. So anyway, this is one way to lead. So the first thing I like is, look, Jeff is clear. This isn't business as usual, right? Like, just call it out. Call out the thing. Call out the thing that's obvious, right? It's not normal times. Then he talks about what we're doing. So he talks about, look, we've changed our logistics to prioritize essential items. Staples, sanitizers, baby formula, medical supplies. And he's obviously here. He's leading. He's rallying the team, right? We're providing a vital service to people everywhere. Now, we talk about start with why. We talk about that book all the time. This is a why. We're starting with why. We're providing a vital service to people everywhere, especially to those like the elderly who are most vulnerable. People are depending on us. So he's giving his employees a mission. Then he talks about, I love this part. For anybody who watches U.S. politics, you know President Trump has been an unrelenting critic of Jeff Bezos and of Amazon. He's dogged on us for years, but not anymore. Then he talks about the economics and brings in the good news. So this is something people can do. And look, I got to say, the best play in this is the killer line in his message. And yes, I understand it's got a PR slant to it, but he's being really clear. and saying, if you got laid off in an hourly job, we need your help. And we'll be okay with the fact that you go back to your jobs. Now, why? I'm not blind to the truth here. We'll be okay that you go back to your jobs because when we can reopen the restaurants, people won't need Amazon as badly because they'll be able to buy elsewhere. Okay? It is a great PR move, NVA Hitch. I got that. But it's still smart to call out to those people and say, look, we're going to hire 100,000 people. And by the way, this is no different. Well-known public. Again, I am not sharing anything about Amazon that isn't public. It's well known we hire well over 100,000 temps around holiday, Christmas, fourth quarter. We do it every year, more and more every year as we get bigger. Well, now we're seeing demand like that, so we're hiring a holiday workforce, only not at holidays. So we have to do it really quickly. But this is really smart to say if you're out of work because, right, if you're out of work, restaurants and bars, we hope that you'll come work with us until you're able to go back. Here's the thing, okay? It's PR, but it's also true. Sometimes good PR moves can also be true. And that's just good luck / good circumstances. In this case, it's true that we need people. And we need people, honestly, that when everything reopens, we won't need all summer, hopefully. And so why not be able to send them back to their other jobs? This is perfect win-win. You're out of work. Your restaurant is closed. Come ship boxes or deliver boxes or unload trucks inbound, right? The pallets. And then go back to your restaurant or go back to your hotel or your cruise ship or your airline after. It's win-win. Now, it's also PR. Yeah. Gamer MVP said it right. The best PR coincides with reality. That's exactly right. All right. And no, NVA Hitch, you weren't I didn't take that anyway wrong. All right. So then this goes on to say, much of our essential work can't be done from home. Talks about the health stuff. I'm not going to comment on that because it's sensitive, right? Like the fact is it's, people are out in the world working when other people are being told to shelter. It's true of hospitals. It's true of grocery stores. It's not my business to comment on that. Some people are going to work. All right. So, let's see what else we got. We've placed purchase orders, so we're trying to get protective equipment. It's obviously going to hospitals and clinics. So, this unfortunately says it's a tough situation. He says he's focused on COVID-19, on what Amazon can do. Now, I didn't steal this from him. When I said there's no playbook, I didn't even realize he had said it. But he says the exact same thing I did. He only talks about it in terms of how to feel. But I would actually say this is true in general. There is no instruction manual for how to feel at a time like this. And what I like best about his message is that he brings in a reasonable human element. He talks like a person. And that's part of leadership. Be accessible. Be relatable. Be available to your team. Photinius, I'm not glorifying the guy as a hero. It's an example of leadership. Here's the fact, Photinius. He's in charge of Amazon. In that role, he must lead, which means he must say something. Now, we can decide whether or not to glorify him, but the leaders in charge must lead. And if they lead well, they will gain glory. And if they lead poorly, they should gain ignominy. But we need them to try. And so whether you love Jeff, hate Jeff, love Amazon, hate Amazon, I don't care in this instance because I'm not speaking for them. What I care is that people lead. And this is a reasonable example of good leadership communication. It's clear, it gives a mission, it talks about what we're doing, it's relatable and human. All right. I don't want to get deeper into that because I don't normally talk about Amazon. We can talk about other leaders. So we'll switch back over here. But I just wanted to share that because I thought it was interesting. And look, I wanted more to talk about what each of us can do. And I think the main thing as we try and get through this is you do have to recognize we're in uncharted territory. And so in uncharted territory, what you do is you remain calm, you analyze the data you have, and you take the best steps you can as it changes. And I think, unfortunately, we're changing to where this is going to start overwhelming hospitals, as an example, and we're changing to where the economic damage is going to be deep, and we're going to have to make really unpleasant trade-offs. So, Shaney, the QT, I thought he just sent it to employees. It's public. It was addressed to employees, but Jeff's smart enough to know that anything he sends to 1 million employees is going to be public. So he obviously wrote it in a way such that it could also be digested publicly. So it becomes an example of public leadership because other leaders like me are wondering how should we lead our teams. I had addressed a message to my team earlier, but leaders like Kristen are wondering. So they can look at this example and they can take what they like from it and take what adjust what they don't. So I have a few other topics I want to cover, and then I need to bring a friend on Zoom real quick to test the new overlays completely. But what else did I want to talk about? So let's see. I shared that 3 people have jobs. I went over Jeff's letter. I ranted about social distance, about, look, if you're under one of these orders, get your exercise, go outside and be safe, but don't gather up. If nothing else, have some sympathy for your leaders. They need time to figure out what the hell to do. We are going to have to put the economy back together. Yes, Duke of Thought, I did indeed buy Business Zoom, so it won't time out anymore. I had it last time I did Zoom. I'd rather be sick for 2 weeks. Yeah, this is tough though, NVA. This is the trade-off. Do we let people get sick or do we close businesses? And in what ratio? Because you're saying I'd rather be sick for 2 weeks than see my favorite places and families lose everything. That's awesome. The challenge is, how much at risk are you? Are you at risk of dying? You can say you'd rather be sick for 2 weeks, and I get it. Would you rather die? And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be polarized. And you also say, see those people lose everything. That's very severe. Will businesses suffer? Will people go short of money? I don't have. I'm not NVA. I'm not trying to pick on you. And Duke of Thought chimed in too and said he would rather die. That's easy to say when you're young. Oh, I would rather not die. Okay. Did he just change it? I would rather die. I would rather not die. Hello, Duke. Hell of a typo, buddy. Hell of a typo. Maybe an epic typo. Wow. I was just about to analyze your first comment, and then you totally reverse it on me. Presto changeo. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. T-noses. That is Freudian slip. Yeah, that was hard to live to. I would rather die. I mean, I'd rather not die. So look, I said earlier, it's no win. So I'm not going to repeat that. Let's have fun. Let's do something more fun in chat. I had this idea presented to me that's kind of positive. What if you could make a COVID-19 bucket list? The point being, the bucket list is stuff to do before you die, but we're not talking about that. What if you, and NVA Hitch, I agree with you, and destroy COVID-19 is good. I'll come back to you, Hitch. Look, if you have the chance to be at home, maybe not be commuting, or unfortunately, if you're laid off out of work and while you're job searching, if that leaves you with a little bit of extra time, if you have that time, and it's probably going to go on 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, longer, maybe, hopefully not, because we're going to have to restart the economy. What do you want to do with that time? What are your goals to accomplish? And I will tell you some of mine. I love to walk and hike, and there's a hike kind of right across from my house. I get to do it every day with my wife, with my dog. But there's more. My relationship with my stepkids is improving. Why? Because I'm here. And so one of my goals, one of my things, what I want to know is what would you put on your COVID-19 bucket list? Because you can make a bucket list of things to do. So another thing I'll share, I started the book, all of you know I love Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath. I've started the book Upstream, which is only by one of the brothers, Chip Heath. Ironically, it talks about healthcare, but it was written long before this. Yeah, Dome King, I can exercise more now that my uni is all online. Exactly. What else can you do? You talk about exercise. This is interesting. I've heard people talking about gaining what they either call the work from home 15 or the COVID-19. So like pounds. They're gaining the 19 pounds from being at home. I'm actually losing weight because despite the occasional cocktail with all of you, I'm home where the food is good and healthy and I don't eat as much junk. So Poober says, putting aside time for meditation and self-reflection. Who else has added thing? I'm losing weight from stress. The real Jessica. I'm sorry for you, but I don't doubt you. Boredom eating is a trap to fall into. COVID-19 is pretty funny. Yeah, I do admit it's pretty funny. All right. So ABC 1121, you raise an interesting point of could we have done a partial quarantine of only those old or at risk? I don't think we had the technology to do it, but I think we will evolve. My prediction, you heard it here first, right? It's March 22nd. By summer or at latest when this disease reemerges in the fall, that's what we will do. We will have a structured, limited quarantine of those people at risk, supported by government programs of some kind. That's because we have to let the economy run. And so I don't think we were ready to do that, but I think we will. Going back to COVID-19, I'm taking my 4-year-old to hike the local ski resort since I want to take him skiing and every mountain is closed. We're going to get the entire mountain to ourselves. So I did that this weekend. Yes, it's going to reemerge, Vraculation. Basically, if you assume it's like a flu, which is an assumption, but we can ask Dr. Racaniello about that on Tuesday on our stream. There is some evidence, some preliminary, that the virus does not do well with heat. And so as it gets warm in the northern hemisphere in the summer, infections will decrease, like happens with the flu, like happens with the cold. We'll be able to come out from hiding and we'll have until the fall to prepare. The simulations show it become big in December. So it's going to be our new Christmas present. It will reemerge October, November with a peak in December. Not good, but possible. Yeah, Poober, same thing. All right. I was going to try and read books, but I end up dicking around on the internet instead. Duke of Thought, I agree with you. I can't stop reading some of the news. What else would you do? Phelps GG, this is huge. Thanks for sharing your time. I've got a question. Phelps, I can't answer this all here. I'm happy to if you want to join our join, either DM me or join our Discord and reach out in general chat or something. It's too long of a question here, and I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I don't speak for Twitch here. And I work for Twitch Prime, which is an Amazon group. We use the Twitch name, but we're separate. So I don't know. Yeah, no, it's okay, Phelps. I get that you were trying to do something good. But I'm happy to try and help you out in some other context. You're trying to do some good thing. And so if I can point you to the right person, I can try. Yes, coughing. It's the whiskey, I swear. All right. So I didn't see too many COVID-19 things on your bucket list. I think the other thing on my bucket list rolls into our question of the week. So this is a question of the week that's actually from, we haven't done question of the week in several weeks. And this question is actually from, got to be careful. I thought I kicked the power strip. This question of the week is actually from the list that we used to go off of, Arthur Aaron's 36 questions that build relationship. This will be a good question. It's a two-parter. So the first question is, if you only had a few days left to live, what would you do with them? So if you knew you only had some limited amount of time, suddenly you got a diagnosis or some problem that you only were going to get a few days to live, what would you do with them? And specifically, is there anything you would tell other people or do in relationship to others that you have not done? Is there anything that you would tell others? And so with this in mind, for example, I had this question because I knew I wanted to ask it, and I talked to my daughter today. I would tell my old boss what a C word she is. So that's an acronym, I believe. It's see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday. Yep. All right. Live sports. Yeah. So if live sports can help you, all right. Yep. ABC 11:21. You might be right. Depends on how healthy I am. Yeah. Let's assume you could do whatever you wanted. Like, let's assume, I don't know, for purposes of the question, assume that you're going to go out in a week because I'm going to come shoot you in the head. And you know this and you believe it. And you can't do anything about it because it's not really me. I'm a nice guy. It's like dark side me. Jeepicus, thank you for rating. Welcome in. Appreciate you showing up. So yeah, we're answering our question of the day, which is what would you do? And assume that you're healthy. So you have a chance. The question is, what would you do? Yeah, I'm going to shoot you in the head in the video game. That's right. What would you do if you only had a few days left? And what would you do? You'd shoot me first. Good luck. I hear footsteps. Buy a lead helmet. All right, you guys aren't answering this. Usually you're great at it. The point is, though, what would you do specifically in relationships with others? Is there anything you would say to others, anything you would tell them, any relationship you would try to heal, any person you would go tell off? So Liger said he would tell his old boss she was a see you next Tuesday. I love Jackaros. That's awesome. I would want to go to Rome. I've never been outside the U.S. I've studied ancient Latin. And you would cry. You know, Rome is awesome. It is a beautiful place. Sadly, I have a vacation there planned this summer that I think is completely unlikely. I give it about 2%. And I'm really sad about that. I love Rome. And so assuming you live and everything gets better, Jackaros, I hope you get to go there because Rome is a beautiful place. I am behind in telling life stories, but I know my family knows I love them. Tell the stories. The point of this question is, the punchline is, if you haven't done these things, but you would, the question is, why haven't you done them? And Kristen, some of what you're saying, I think about all the time. I'd write notes to my kids and husband for future years without me. That's not a bad idea anyway. Not that you have to do it. But one of the reasons I do this broadcast is I feel when my kids and stepkids are grown, they'll be able to look back at my videos when I'm gone and get a sense of who I was and what I taught. It's not the main reason I do it, but it's a hell of a side benefit. So I think about what you're saying. Duke of Thought, go on living. Where can I submit questions for the doctor on Tuesday? Atomics Nation, we're taking them right here in chat. T Weirdo is logging them for me. So just put them in chat. You go to your home in small town north of Sweden and spend time with your brother. Liger, that's really sweet. I hope you don't have to do that soon. I'll haunt you guys after I die. That's harsh. NVA Hitch, good for you. I said I would do nothing different. Defeated the questioner. Catholic school drilled on me pretty early. Good, NVA Hitch. That's awesome. Roman Israel. Not going to happen this summer. Yeah, boy, travel. I love to travel, and I feel so screwed. My wife and I have canceled so many trips. Dorian Gray, too. Well, with a name like Dorian Gray, you were planning on living a long time, a very long time. But yeah, time to get ahead of it. All right, I'm reading the rest of chat, then we'll move on. The real Jessica, I normally do those things already. You can't regret things you do, but I fear regretting things I didn't do. You can regret things you do, actually, but I agree in family, better to reach out to people. Yeah, Jackaros, that sucks. It's a lot of money for a trip, though. You can go to Rome a lot cheaper than that when you're an adult. Blue Scoop, that's awesome. Great job. Procrastinate whenever I plan. I'd like to go to Ireland or Japan, but honestly, kind of what I do. Family is really small now, so not a lot of people to worry about. Yeah, I had a small family. I married into a big, wonderful family. And I have a ton of friends, including all of you guys. I'm lucky. All right. We've talked about a lot, and I didn't intend for tonight to be a huge stream. I got to do a quick test with Zoom. So you guys talk amongst yourselves for 1 minute while I mess around and see if I can bring Awesome Dave on for a test. So give me a second. It's not going to take long. Now he's upside down. This will be great. Why are you upside down, Dave? This is not good. What have you done? Now you're sideways.
I figured you'd appreciate the upside down video.
Wow. For people who don't know that story, he's turning red. He's got the COVID.
Oh, yes. Cheers. So can you hear me okay?
Yes, better.
Yeah, I'll line it then. Yeah, it came to my phone, Ethan, so I couldn't quite get it on the laptop.
Oh, I got it. You only have Discord on your phone. Sorry, brother. All right, so you can drop off, though. We know it works, and so
excellent.
you do your thing, and
all right.
But the upside down video did lead to this is why Dave couldn't help me with the microphone problem.
Well, it sounds much better now, and I'll drop off. You guys can continue. Great stream so far. Thank you very much.
Yep, we'll answer this question though, and then we'll call it a night. We'll see if there are other good questions though too. Since I asked for questions, I'll see if there are others. Nope, it's empty. So this is the only one we're going to do. When leading remotely, how can we lift morale and provide emotional or mental health resources to those team members in need? All right, this is a good question. Number one, I have to advertise. Dave, who was just on, gave me the idea of doing a virtual happy hour, which he did with his team. Team members need social outlets. One of my teams is doing a get-together, like a breakfast check-in stand-up. Like first thing in the morning, they're doing a social coffee chat. So they're doing morning coffee together. Another one of my teams is opening up a video chat to do lunch together. So during the lunch break, they're taking time and they're getting on and eating their lunches together just like they would in the cafeteria. So it's a way for them to eat lunch together. And so they're all bringing their lunch. And they're eating lunch and just talking, like no work topics. So the coffee chat, no work topics. The lunch, no work topics. Just hang out and chat. Obviously, we work at Twitch Prime. Where will Devin be in this frame? He will not. We will, when I do the Dr. Racaniello talk, we actually have a 3-person display, which I may use if I can get it set up and feel it's good on time, or I'll just do it without any frame at all. So I have to set up a whole new scene for 3 people, but one exists. Anyway, finishing the answer to this question, the way to lift morale, though, is play games together. That's another option. So our team is setting up both a competitive gaming channel, like a place where they're all going to get together and play competitive first-person shooter games. And they're also setting up a channel where they're going to do stuff like Jackbox games. So they're going to do lighthearted party games. And so people are going to do both as a way of socializing. And great. Games are what tie us all together. So, yeah, like it's like live sports is playing. We played the last 2 Friday afternoons. It's fun. You just got to get people together and give them something to do and not humiliate them, right? Make it fun. And you can play things like the Jackbox Party Pack. Everyone can play those. Wish we could play Zombies Chasing Ethan. Oh, Spork23. I'm guessing I know who you are. Games will turn best friends into arch enemies. I hope not. Maybe they need to do. No, they're not. I think they are playing off hours, but we would even be fine with people taking an hour. Twitch is a pro game environment, remember. So we care that people get their work done, but if people need a break, we play games during the day sometimes. Now, you can't do it for hours. You have to get your work done. But if people need a quick 30-minute match to relax and bond, that is part of work in this circumstance. Actually, this is really important. One of my coworkers is a relatively famous game designer named Christoph Hartmann. He used to work for 2K games, Rockstar 2K, and he had an office in New York City near the Twin Towers when they fell. And one of the points he and others made is, look, in these times, productivity is not going to be, and Duke, it's optional, right? If you don't want to play, nobody's going to make you, so you're free to have your strict separation. But a lot of people, work is a big part of their social life, and they miss it. And so these are not set times where everyone has to do something. We're giving options, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. But one of the things he pointed out, which is relevant, not everybody is going to have equally high productivity as they had in the office when suddenly they have kids at home, parents they're worried about, they can't get toilet paper, they're feeling claustrophobic from being locked down. We have to make some adjustments about what's okay and what we are willing to tolerate. And so I would just say we have to be flexible about that. And so I think you need to learn from that. And the point is, in a crisis, and there's no doubt this is a crisis, right? Kristen says more adapting. It's true. One of the adaptations we've had to make, and I can ditch the headphones, one of the adaptations we've had to make is productivity is different. Some people work late at night now when their kids are asleep. And no, nobody's talking about mandatory fun. Exactly what Plus David said. So we have to learn from that. We have to do things differently. So last couple points on this. Dave had this idea of a virtual happy hour. And so we need a virtual happy hour for our stream. And so I thought, okay, we're going to do the very heavy Dr. Racaniello talk Tuesday at 12 noon Pacific time. We're going to have the virus doctor back on. We're going to ask him what the hell we do and how the epidemic progresses, and are there any medicines showing promise, and on and on and on. But on Thursday at 6, we're going to have happy hour as a team. And so all my mods, all the people who help with the stream, and the subs who are here, we have a subs only channel in Discord, and we'll put out a Zoom invite in the subs only channel so that all the mods and subs can join a great big online happy hour, and we'll stream it, and we'll just talk about stuff. So tonight I've tried to have a topic. I've tried to talk about handling tough times, because we're in tough times. And I think focusing on adaptability and being flexible is the key advice I have for handling unprecedented tough times. We don't know what next week is going to bring. But for those who want to jump on and are part of our community, we're going to have happy hour. And if you want to join us Thursday at 6 p.m., I'm sure you'll get to know some of us better. The mods who want to come on screen can. Some of them, like Kristen, The mods who don't want to come on stream don't have to. But some people will join. We'll just have a nice chat. We'll invite all the subs. Whether we have 2 people or 22, you'll be able to bring your own drink Thursday at 6 p.m. I will probably see the revisit of the High West Whiskey. How did I see? I've had a lot now. High West Whiskey. It's been good. Time to finish it. So we will all have a nice drink together. We'll chat, and we'll probably talk business because that's what we know together. But we'll also get to know each other. And I agree, by the way, Dorian Gray, you have a great point I should have touched on, so let me do that. I am not drinking it neat. It's mixed with ginger beer and a couple other things. So this was a brand new bottle, so whatever is missing from about my fingers down is what I've had, which is still a pretty good swig. But Dorian Gray hit on something. The unknown is what makes this hard. There are so many unknowns here. And I have to end Zoom. It's still going along. Dave's still watching me. Haha, that's funny. He's just not on screen anymore. See, wait. Oh, he hung up on me. All right, we're going to end the meeting. So anyway, the unknowns is the tough part. We don't know what's coming next. There's so much ambiguity. For example, our governor keeps doing this. Are we going to lock you down? Are we not? And then we don't know when it'll end. That's another unknown. How long will we be working from home? Question. How long will kids be home? Will schools go back anywhere in the world, in the U.S. or elsewhere this year? My guess is no, but will they? So then a question. We have a senior in the house. How will he graduate? Will they just waive everything? Because right now his school's not teaching from home. So will they just never mind. What else is unknown? I think there's lots of unknowns. And so many questions. Will things be rationed? What's the impact of the China supply chain? Some people say China's up and running again. I'm not so sure. I'm trying to talk to some of my friends in China and find out. But when that supply chain gap hits us, what will we be short of, and will it matter? Will it just be Christmas stuff? I don't know. But when that supply chain gap gets to us, that's another unknown. What else are we going to run short of? For example, I speculate that we're going to run out of laptops. Why? Well, the China supply chain is down, and the supply chain is very fragile. But lots of people need laptops and equipment to equip people to work from home. And so I would assume there is going to be a shortage of gear that enables people to work from home, because it's not getting manufactured, but it is getting consumed. And so, the real Jessica says phones. Yeah, Yo-Yo Channy, I thought about that. Like, I drink by my streaming laptop all the time. If I manage to pour whiskey in the laptop, we have a problem. The Real Jessica, pharmaceuticals. There are a lot of problems. So I think the unknowns, and if you think about that as leaders, we have problems coming. For example, I told you my company is hiring new employees. My team has new employees coming. What happens when we don't have laptops to give them anymore? Do we send them home with desktops? Do we go in and take the desktops of other people's desks and repurpose them? These problems are coming. So whether as leaders or as employees, as citizens, I think you need to think about that and get ready for that. By ready, I'm not just talking about laptop shortages. I'm talking about the need to adjust to more changes. Because if I've learned anything about what's coming, it's that more changes, this circumstance of the world's supply chain being paused and the economies being trashed and the hospitals being stressed or overwhelmed and all of us working from home or being out of work or being in essential jobs, it's a completely new reality. And we've only begun on the consequences of that. Amazon has a saying that Bezos has used for 25 years where he says it's still day one, meaning for the impact of the internet in our lives, it's still the first day of history. We don't know everything the internet's going to do. Well, I think it's going to be much worse, much more dramatic. This epidemic is in minute one. If Amazon is in day one, we're in minute one, and we're still discovering. And so, people here interesting are talking about starting a garden. I wonder about that. So, like the major seed supplier is in the U.S., there's a catalog called Burpee, B-U-R-P-E-E, I think. I bet they're sold out. In other words, the people who think this way are ahead of us, and they've ordered all the corn and tomato and other seeds, I bet. But I bet a lot of people are thinking gardening. I don't know as we'll have a food shortage, but, I would think a lot of that stuff's been ordered because I certainly thought of that. So the drink is empty. The answer for morale is social events. It can be this. It can be streaming a movie together. It can be chatting together. Raise your team's morale by giving them a social outlet and one-on-one giving them safe places to talk about problems. Kristen asked, who is it again on your stream talking about their company that helps with mental health needs? I think that's Dr. K, Dr. Canagia. Alok Canagia. I don't know. He's not a company, though. Hephaestus. My extended family is doing a group call on Skype every night. That's brilliant. And see, Duke of Thought, you could do that and keep work separated. Jason Docton. That's really interesting. Yeah, the other person was, RAD, right? Rage Against the Disorder, something like that. And Jason Docton. Yeah. So you can find him as well, and your suggestion is promote them for those in need during the pandemic. Look, mental health is important. I have to imagine, by the way, mental health providers are overwhelmed at the moment or going to be. More grief counseling, more fear, all kinds of problems. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope to see you all back here. Please, this community, please turn up if you can Tuesday at 12 noon Pacific to represent us when we have thousands of Twitch viewers and we talk COVID-19 with a virus expert. So there you go. You have someone saying that Burpee at their grocery store, you can't get more. I'm not surprised. They're closed except online. I'm not surprised by any of this. All right. Thank you all very much. I love you guys. You turned out in droves. It was fun. You put up with the mic problems while I sorted it out. And as always, we had a great stream. I'm looking forward to seeing you again for both the social hour and for the stream. Talk to you later. Goodbye. Good night. And as I always say at the end, cheers.